Please. You sleep well? You? Yeah, short time. Because I went to the concert after the dinner. Oh, wow. Yes. Oh, wow. Spoštovane gospe, spoštovani gospodje, spet eden od vrhuncev festivala, tokrat dragi gost, Johnom Malkovich. Jaz bom zdaj nadaljeval v angleščini, saj mislim, da to ni noben problem, vi boste pa že potem za svoje potrebe prevajali v vaših cenjenih medijih. So, dear Mr. Malkovich, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to announce again one of the highlights of this year festival edition, 65th already. The press conference will be held in English, and of course I hope this will not cause you any inconvenience. Tonight we are going to hear a very interesting program with Solistia Aquilani, with Anastasia Terenkova, pianist. In the first part we will hear Bach with Lana Trotowschek, and of course we will hear also Schnittke with Terenkova and with Mr. Malkovich reading Report on the Blind during the performance of Schnittke concerto from Ernesto Sabat. I don't think that I should speak too long. We have you here, Mr. Malkovich, so maybe you can say about your experience with this piece and cooperation with different orchestras, with different soloists. And I'm sure later we will have a lot of questions from our journalists. Please.
Well, this piece was conceived by a Russian pianist called Ksenia Kogan and myself, and we started planning it 4 or 5 years ago, and then it opened in Seoul, South Korea with the Korean Chamber Orchestra, and we later did it at Queen Elizabeth Hall in London and Concert House in Berlin, and then with Anastasia Terenkova we did it in Helsinki and in Buenos Aires and Mendoza. It's Schnittke's third concerto for piano and orchestra, and I think a terrific and very interesting piece of music, a lovely composition with a lot of power and a lot of movement. And the text is from the Argentinian novel that was written by Ernesto Sabato, called On Heroes and Tombs, thought to be one of the great classic South American novels. Ernesto Sabato was a nuclear physicist an astrophysicist by trade, and also a terrific writer, and he was also the head of the commission in Argentina on the disappeared, to investigate what had happened to the disappeared. So this is the piece you'll see tomorrow night. And from the novel, there's a little section of the novel called Report on the Blind.
And tell me, when you read this text and you listen also the music, what happens? What is the synergy?
Well, it's a piece that was quite carefully thought out and planned and adapted report on the blind, I think, is well over 100 pages, and this is 4 little pages. And it's just something that I thought was a pretty perfect match for Schnitka, which has a lot of power, it has a lot of paranoia, a lot of obsessive repetition, and some revelation.
And this time you perform with Solisti Aquilani. Have you seen the city after the earthquake, L'Aquila? No, I did, and can you tell me how you feel? Do you feel comfortable with the orchestra? With
yeah,
the
very
maestro?
much so. Yeah, that's been very smooth. I think they play very well, and they're very coherent, and I hope anyway, they like the piece. I think it's a very nice piece, I would imagine, to play as well.
Last night we were talking about other projects. You do many things, but especially those connected with the music. So maybe you can tell us also something about it, that we do some promotion for the future.
Well, I've done a number of projects in this field over the years. I did one with the Spanish composer who does a lot of movie scores. He's done pretty much all of Almodovar and many other things, and I think he won the Oscar for best score for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, the Spanish composer Alberto Iglesias, and I did a piece about 10 years ago or so, maybe even more, called A Rotating Drummer Inside a Box, which was from an idea of Juan Munoz, the Spanish artist. And it's actually US patent number 5 million something for an invention of a toy drummer that can, this toy based on how fast you spin it can appear or disappear, and we all felt the language, which is a real US patent, which is what you do when you invent something. It can be a toy, it can be a bit of machinery, whatever. I do that. I'll do another piece again, which that opened at Julian Racklin's festival in Dubrovnik at the time. I'll do another piece which we did there also many years ago. I'll do that in the fall in Ghent in Belgium, called The Music Critic, which is all the worst reviews of Beethoven, Brahms, Debussy, Ravel, Schumann, whoever, and then they play the piece. I spent 8 years off and on touring with a Viennese Baroque orchestra called the Wiener Academy, which is conducted by Martin Hasselbuck. Doing 3 pieces that were kind of opera theater hybrids. The first was called The Infernal Comedy, about the Austrian novelist, poet, playwright, journalist, and serial killer Jack Unterweger. Then we did an adaptation from Casanova's life story, Histoire de ma vie, which we made a modern opera out of, but with Baroque music, all Mozart from Don Giovanni and Così fan tutte and The Marriage of Figaro, but with a completely different story to any of those operas. And the most recent one we toured this early spring in Europe, which has the title Just Call Me God, which is a sort of last day of a kind of Muammar Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein figure, which is set in a replica of one of the great European philharmonies, which he has built a replica of under the desert sands. So.
Impressive. Okay, so you have questions for sure. Would you like that? Now it's time. We have 45 minutes altogether, so you just raise your hand and the mic will be given to you. And please introduce yourself because we are also live on internet. Please. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Kaya from Planet TV.
Hi.
So you're mostly known as acting in movies, at least here in Slovenia. What's the best thing about being on stage, performing live to the audience?
Well, that it's live. I mean, meaning theater is an organic, ephemeral form, like life, which movies aren't. Movies are absolutely non-organic and non-ephemeral. And theater, or the kind of things I've done in these kind of hybrid pieces and with music, it's a living form, and I like that.
Okay, one question. It is your first time in Slovenia. I wonder how do you like it, and if you have time to go around and see the city.
Very little, I think. I only drove through here because I was at a film festival in Pula when the war started, so we were told we had to leave, and we drove through Slovenia to Zagreb. But we didn't stop because we were on our way to Zagreb, so I didn't know it at all, and I probably won't get much chance this time, a little bit. That's life when you're touring. It's not a touristic activity. You're here to work, really.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
I'm Anna from the Multimedia Center of the National Television. You've mentioned that you'll be doing an extract from the report on the blind. And the book, or the chapter of the book, is a rant from an old sickly narrator who's convinced of a conspiracy of the blind. So do you think this passage has gained any special relevance in maybe the last year or so? Because we've seen world politics being dominated by maybe paranoia and conspiracy theories. Or are you not big on these interpretations?
I mean, I think it would be an insult to Sabato and Sabato's work to find relevancy in what is the generally idiotic world of world politics and the social media interpretation of it. That's what I would say. Sabato was a serious writer, and And I'm not sure that's a quality I would attribute to world politics, really.
Živa?
Andreas Gondas, Primorske novice. I can't help but asking you these questions because it's one of my favorite movies. But what are your feelings and thoughts now when you watch Being John Malkovich almost 2 decades after it was shot?
I saw it in Venice in 1999 or 2000 or 2001. I've never seen it since. So I don't have a lot of thoughts about it. I think it's I think Charlie Kaufman's a fantastically gifted writer who's gone on to do all kinds of wonderful work as a writer and as a director now. And the same with Spike Jonze, who went on to do really wonderful work as a director and now as a writer as well. And I like the cast. I occasionally see Johnny Cusack or I see someone in passing. But I don't really think about it much.
Have you ever asked them why you? Why did they want to enter your mind?
No. Have you?
No.
Then we're in the same boat.
Thank you.
Ja, naprej.
Hi, Tanya from Pop TV.
Hello.
We heard some of your diverse body of work, but you have, it's very diverse, very different things you are taking on. Your face was in Call of Duty, the video game, you did Broadway, audiobooks, you were in Eminem's video. How do you decide what to do, what to take on?
Well, you know, you really choose from amongst those things you've been chosen for. So, I do things that interest me, that I think might be an interesting experience, or might be amusing, or might be entertaining. Something that I might learn something from. I always loved Eminem, so I was happy to do it. I knew Kurt Vonnegut and liked him a great deal personally. And so when Breakfast of Champions came up, they asked me to do it. I said, of course, I'd be honored to. Video games, my son plays, and that was quite interesting, a strange experience, but interesting. So it just sort of really depends. It's completely random, just depends if I think it might really be entertaining, if it pleases me, because I can't really worry about everyone else, you know.
So, and your paternal grandparents are from Croatia, and you've been quite a lot, and you said in an interview that Croatian coast is the most relaxing destination. Will you be going this year for holiday there as well?
We're gonna go a couple days after we finish in Udine, but then I go to Kazakhstan and other stuff. Maybe we go back later in the autumn or something, but I have a sort of busy summer and autumn, so So just be a couple of days this time, I think.
It's Mina Štorman na Svetnem kanalu 1. You said it's fascinating to contemplate people. Do you ever observe the audience? How do they like the performance when you are on stage?
Not so much. I mean, I'm busy, so it's not really a time for observation and reflection.
It's vice versa. They observe him.
Yeah. You know, I have a funny feeling about theater. One of the things is theater is a collective form. So the audience is as important as the performers and the material. So they have their job and I have my job, and I look at it like that. And I've always thought of theater in a way, I compare it to surfing, that you paddle out on your little board at X time in the day or the evening. You turn your back toward the sun and you wait for a wave. And, you know, I'm not the wave, and the public isn't the wave. The wave is created by the clash between the public and the material, and that creates a wave if the material is good. And if the material is very good, I think it pretty much always creates a wave. Not at the same time, not at the same point. It's more liquid than that, but it pretty much always creates a wave, and then your job is to ride it. So my job is not really to say to the audience, do you like this line, or do you like this word, or do you like this note? It's to play the material. So you don't get that much observing of an audience in a live performance. You have other things to do.
Yes, please.
Hi,
Hi.
You seem to be very much at home and relaxed on stage and in front of the camera. But what does actually agitate you? What drives you nuts?
At work?
Yeah.
Nothing really.
How do you solve it if a problem occurs?
Well, you try to, I mean, I think problem solving really, you just address the problem, not, oh, I'm so angry about this problem, or I'm very angry at you about this problem, because it can't be my fault, so it must be your fault. These are all bad ways of addressing issues. If the light cue is wrong, try and fix it. If you mess up, try and fix it. If other people mess up, try and fix it. And remember to talk about just what you're talking about. So there isn't so much at work that really drives me nuts that much. And especially if it's something I can't control. I never worry about things I can't control.
And what was the weirdest or stupidest thing you had to learn for a film role?
Weirdest or stupidest? Boy, that's a big field. I don't know. I have to think about it. Nothing really springs to mind. I kind of like useless knowledge, or to master some truly useless task. So strangely, I think you often end up finding a purpose in things that seemed so criminally stupid when you had to do them. I'm sure there's some really dumb things I'll have to think about.
So how tough, challenging, or wonderful is being John Malkovich?
I don't know that it's very challenging. I think I've had a very lucky life. And most people don't.
It's Milan from Top Magazine.
Hello.
I have two questions. Hello. One is, you went to the role in TV series. Do you see TV series as a sort of new movies, longer movies? Because before they were done just like TV series. Now it's getting the same high quality as movies. Do you see yourself as trying something also in the future on the TV screen?
It's very possible. We just dropped out of a TV series we were gonna do, meaning myself and my producing partners. We just sort of parted ways with the people we were gonna work with on a TV series, maybe in the autumn or winter, because I think we just didn't see the same way forward, really. But I'm sure I was supposed to do a TV series a year or two ago about pot growers in Humboldt County in Northern California. But then that didn't happen either. You know, movies are at a kind of quite confused, strange time, I think, for the most part. When I started, a movie maybe took 4 months. Now they maybe take 4 weeks. Pretty soon it'll be 4 days. And what are you going to do? How do you do that? And I don't know how much longer. I honestly don't know. I'm not saying there won't be. I just don't know how much longer there'll be a public for cinema, for people to go walk to the cinema and see a movie, or take a car, ride their bike, or take the bus or the metro or something. I don't know. I'm not fantastically optimistic about the movie future.
Thank you. And the other question will be a bit political, but as Donald Trump was elected, you know, the Hollywood was very anti-Trump, you know, and very loud in their, you know, resistance towards Trump. Did it change now in Hollywood? I mean, you have friends there, and they always speak sometimes, and you say, I'm from Croatia, oh, that's where Melania is coming from. Did it change the attitude of Hollywood towards Trump after these few months, or you probably speak about those things when you meet someone?
I really don't. I don't. I mean, you can't really call someone on the telephone and reach Hollywood. It's a rather bigger idea than that, and a smaller idea as well. And I don't have a tendency to have those kind of conversations. And I don't really pay much attention to that. I mean, I know people want me to, but I really don't, because I'm busy.
That's Johnom. Is it true that your childhood dream was to sing in Vienna Boys Choir, and where did this dream come from?
From my little brain, I guess.
I mean, were you watching them on TV?
Yeah, they were on TV on Walt Disney, sometimes on Sunday night. And I was a boy soprano, so I wanted to sing with them. But I never quite made it.
Tried to pursue this dream, or was it just like an idea you had and that's it?
Well, I was very young, so I would ask my parents. I thought maybe there was some sort of form you could fill out or something, so I'd ask my parents every year, had they filled out the form and had we heard back, and they said every year, yes, they don't want you, and you know, etc. But of course there was no form to fill out.
I think there's a slight obsession in the media with your voice. Guardian said you have a faintly orgasmic role. You said you're like a girl version of Tom Waits. Where do you think this obsession comes from? Why do people write so much about your voice?
I don't know. I really don't know. People have asked me about it for years. I don't know what to say, really. I never liked it, but...
You never liked your voice?
No. But,
yet you sing.
well, that's the subject of some debate. But, yes.
You mentioned this piece today being a hybrid piece, so I would imagine it's a hard balance to find because written word and music are two autonomous forms.
Sure.
So how do you approach the working process? Is it a concert with narration, or is it a monologue with musical accompaniment? So.
It's really neither. I mean, meaning, I think the only kind of pieces that interest me in this form are pieces that are really integrated. I want it to seem like these pieces were written together. That's my idea. So I think when the pieces I've done in collaboration with classical music or modern music, because I also did a piece with Philip Glass, etc., etc. I hope that they seem to exist together and not just this or just that. You know, you have to be very careful when you start working with music, and especially I think classical music, because it of course has a power that can't be matched by the other art forms. It has a primordial power that not even Rembrandt or people who did their forms with utter mastery and genius, you still can compete with the great pieces of classical music played well. So you have to find other ways in and out of it, because otherwise, you know, if you're used to some success on stage, and you go into a piece with classical music and you think you can do what you normally do, you'll experience the feeling of being hit by a moving house pretty quickly. So you really have to adapt what you do and find your way in and out of it. But I don't see the point of just some music, some narration. That's not really what I do. They're pretty much all the pieces I've done are pretty integrated.
Še dve vprašanje, torej predzadnje.
You said you don't like to watch yourself in movies. Who do you like to watch?
Anybody else? Pretty much.
Like, do you have a favorite actor or actress?
No, I like a lot of actors and actresses. No, favorite, everybody's so different. There are a lot of actors I like watching very much, and actresses also. But a favorite, I don't, not really.
Še kakšno vprašanje, preden zaključimo. Naj povem, da je, I would like to tell you that tonight's concert is sold out, of course. So, and I would like to ask you also to write about other events, not only about Mr. Malkovich. Of course, he is one of the stars of this summer in Ljubljana Festival. So if there are no, one more, okay, the last one, please.
Is there any movie role that marked you the most? Did you feel like it marked you the most?
Not really. I think there are certain ways when you do movies, especially movies 20, 30 years ago, when they were more important, really. Meaning in the culture, and the culture was less dispersed. I suppose something like Les Liaisons Dangereuses gave a certain impression of me that isn't really like me at all, but that's okay. But being Johnom Malkovich gave a different impression that isn't like me either. You know, I'm probably much more like the character I played in a film nobody saw called Color Me Kubrick, a guy who went around England pretending he was Stanley Kubrick and everybody believed him, who was just kind of a very infantile, childish jackass. And you know, but people thought I was like the person in the Line of Fire. Really, probably I'm more like the character in Of Mice and Men. But it doesn't really matter what I'm like. It's not very important. No, certainly not to me. there's just my work. And what I try to do and what I try to accomplish, and how I am is it's not very interesting. I mean, I've done it for 63 years, so I can tell you it's not so fascinating.
Thank you, Mr. Malkovich. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you
for your presence. And I think you all you have accreditations for tonight. If you don't have, I'm sorry. Cool. Thank you, and see you on one of our next press conferences. Goodbye.
See you later.